Greetings and salutations. I'm going to be presenting on Square Enix. My name is Dan WHALEY, and this is for IS 4490 Game Design, taught by Dr. Hoganson. Square Enix is a game company. They used to be known as Squaresoft during the 90s. Their original name was Square Company. Square was founded by Masafumi Miyamoto in 1983. Originally, it was a division of Den Yu Sha, which was a power line construction company owned by his father. In 1996, Square became independent. At that point, they developed several unsuccessful titles, and they also tried releasing on the Famicom system, unsuccessfully. For those of you who don't know, the Famicom system is very similar to the Super Nintendo system. In 1987, Final Fantasy was developed. Hironobu Sakaguchi was the creator of Final Fantasy. Initially, he was only a part-time employee, but when Square became independent, he became a full-time employee. The name Final Fantasy is a bit of a pun. Sakaguchi's final game would be a fantasy RPG, and that's the game that we know as Final Fantasy. As of March 2003, it had sold Final Fantasy and its re-releases, not its sequels, just the re-releases, have sold nearly 2 million copies. As an early RPG, it helped promote the genre. There were several unique elements, the foremost of which were the graphics. For those days, those graphics were actually very good. It had an overworld map, there were towns and dungeons, and also a menu screen and a battle screen. Not very many other games in those days, in 1987, had all that. Square Enix's corporate philosophy is to spread happiness across the globe by providing unforgettable experiences. Quote, "Each of our customers has his or her own definition of happiness. Square Enix provides high-quality content, services, and products to help those customers create their own wonderful, unforgettable experiences, thereby allowing them to discover a happiness all their own." And here, demonstrating happiness, we have several characters from Final Fantasy I. Fighter, Ninja, Red Mage, White Mage, and Black Mage. Over on the right is Yoichi Wada, the president and CEO of Square Enix. Square and Enix were two separate companies up until April 1st, 2003, when they merged. The current statistics that I have for them are, in 2009, they had 150 billion yen in revenue, 9 billion yen in income, and right at 3,200 employees. They're headquartered in Shibuya, Tokyo, Japan. And their website is square-enix.com. Here's an excerpt from their 2009 annual report. Just some dry numbers right here. I've got a graph on the next slide to take some of those numbers. As you can see, there's lots of different data there. This is geared towards their shareholders. That's what the annual report is for. Here's a graph. As you can see, this is net sales. As you can see, they peaked in 2007. In 2008 and 2009, there's been a slight decline. Part of that's probably due to the recession. To offset that decline, in their annual report, they decided to open up a new office in California, and they're working on their European division. They've acquired EI-DOS, and they're restructuring and reorganizing the European division to try to gain more sales, and obviously make new games for us to play. Speaking of games, some of the games that Square Enix has given us to play include the entire Final Fantasy universe and series. I believe there's 14 main games, then the X2 sequel. There were the 2 Final Fantasy movies, which aren't games, but it was their intellectual property. Kingdom Hearts and Chrono Trigger are also big titles. Full Metal Alchemist is a pretty big title as well. They have several Full Metal Alchemist games. And this is just a small list. These are the job postings I found on their website. As you can see, there's a lot of them for the Los Angeles, California office. This is the new office that's going to be built from scratch. So as you can see, they're looking for directors, managers, web developers, merchandise coordinators, programmers. The movie programmers are actually for the Tokyo location. I'm going to show you the senior software engineer, the software engineer, and the quality assurance tester job postings. Not in that order though. And if you're interested in their career page, that's the link down at the bottom. The software engineer, this is what they're looking for as a software engineer. You need a little bit of experience, not a whole lot. They're looking for the basics though. What I really noticed about their postings is that they're not very stuffy. Take the last line of the job summary. Be a game creator, not just a programmer who writes to spec. So they're actually, it seems they're actually approachable. Their senior software engineer has a whole lot more content, so it's going to take up 2 slides. The job summary and the responsibilities are right there. What they're really looking for are console experience, and it looks like they're going to be developing for the Xbox 360 since they mention it specifically in their job posting. And as you can see, they want a little bit more experience for a senior engineer as opposed to a junior one. The quality assurance tester sounds like a beta tester to me. You're going to be playing a game and making money on it, which sounds like a pretty good deal. The catch is you have to document all the bugs that you find. And there's 2 pages for this one as well. They're really focused on the documentation, and your communication skills are necessary to be able to provide that documentation. Moving on into the future, I predict there will be a Final Fantasy Google. No, not a conglomeration of Final Fantasy and Google the company. Google is also a number, 1 with 100 zeros after it. So there'll be that many different Final Fantasy games at some point in time. That's what I'm predicting. They do have new intellectual property in the works. Last Remnant is a fantasy RPG. It's that picture with the guy and the sword above the girl. Its major claim to fame is that there's a system that allows you to group units together and give those units commands instead of just an individual, which actually looked pretty interesting on some of the trailers I saw online. Order of War is a World War II sim, and they'll be developing for all the various platforms and handheld devices that are out there so they can sell more games. If you'd like a copy of this presentation, feel free to email me at the email address listed. And thanks for viewing my presentation.